Hey, I'm Tyler. Here's what most people don't know about me. I run an automation company. I build systems for real estate brokerages and property management firms, and I guarantee a minimum number of hours saved each month. If my clients don't hit that number, I work for free. I don't like to work for free, so I can't afford to automate the wrong thing. If I pick the wrong task, I eat the cost. And if I pick the right task, we both win. I've been doing this long enough to know that most businesses get this decision wrong. Not because they're dumb, but because the industry's too new, AI, automation is all too new, and most people don't know how to think about it. So that's what this video is about. By the end, by the end of this video, you're gonna have 5 questions you can ask about any task in your business, and if the test passes all 5, automate it. Use AI, go the whole 9 yards. And if it doesn't, leave it alone. Wait for a different system to come out, wait for maybe a different AI to come out, or just, save it. It's not a bottleneck, so eh, if it's not a bottleneck and it's not answering these 5 questions, then it's probably not a good return. No guessing, no, automate everything hype. Just a simple filter of 5 questions you can use. I'm going to walk you through each question one at a time, and I'll be writing them down as we go along. It's almost never a technology problem. The tools, they work fine. It's the problem is that people automate the wrong thing. And I see this all the time. So a business owner gets excited about AI, they build a chatbot or, whatever else for their website. It's flashy, something visible, something they can show off, and something that everyone else is doing. The things that everyone sees are not giving you the returns that you want. But the thing that's actually eating up their time and kind of hurting their lead inflow is, the really boring stuff. Email returns, flows that you do every month, flows that this can be email responses, it can be lead nurturing, it can be honestly just replying to a lead or a new potential contact in less than a minute, which has proven results, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen to actually, 5x, 10. If you get to a lead within 1 minute, you're going to just have a better chance of closing the deal. And that's because everyone's attention spans is in the dirt right now. Just because everyone's attention spans don't exist. So if you're not at the top of their mind when they feel that pain, when they feel that need for your service, then you might lose them in the next 5 to 10 minutes. So you want to catch them when it's hot. So the most expensive mistake is not building the wrong automation. It's building the right automation for the wrong task. Do I do this more than once a week? This is a big one because we want to automate the bottlenecks. We want to automate the things that are actually going to give you time back. I would say around 60 to 65, maybe 70% of the workday is just repetitive, boring tasks that you probably already know software can handle, but you got to do it anyway. And so what I would do is I would take the most repetitive tasks that you're doing every day and kind of try to document them. And for this, for this question, I would look at if you're doing this more than once a week, that's definitely a contender. What I do is I look at the repetitive tasks that people are doing once a week, or it can be once a month as long as it's a task that takes a long time, ideally 2 to 3 days. You want to take a look at this, and then you want to list out all the tasks you do on a week-to-week basis. You want to rank them by which one you hate the most and which ones you hate the least. Because you got to think about it like this. You're automating 4 times save, yes, but you got to think about the other aspects of doing that tasks that are impacting your workday. If it's just a task you really don't like and or your team really doesn't like, and there's even if they're spending an hour on it each day, it's going to be draining them. And by the end of the day, they're going to be working less and being less productive than if you were able to tackle that same task, automatically. So, how often do you do this? I would ask yourself, is it less than is it more than once a week? And I think that's a pretty easy question. Probably most of you already knew that by now. But if we're not tackling the bottlenecks with every solution, then it's going to be hard to. So, number two, and this is more of a technical requirement. Are all the steps the same? That really handles a lot of these kind of gray areas and unpredictable steps, but where automation really thrives is when it's given a list of tasks that it can do at each time. So, question number two, is it the same steps? Good Bill Gates quote here for you. If you're automating inefficient operations, you're just going to magnify the inefficiency. So a good one for question two. Go ahead and take one of the tasks that you made from your first list, the how often do you do this, and try to write all the steps down on a piece of paper. If you get to a point where you're saying like it depends or it's a completely different route, sometimes you can handle that with automation, but it's not a priority easy automation that you want to tackle first. So question number three, what happens when things go wrong? So what would the impact be to your business if this specific task went wrong? This one's important to think about, and a lot of people don't talk about it because the AI hype is all about automating the highest priority bottleneck tasks. And where I see this a lot is with the AI receptionists. So you'll have a company come in and take control of your phones, and while it sounds like a great idea, if you're a company and your main income or your main client stream comes through the phone, if you're having robots answer your phone, most people don't like talk to robots. You're going to have some problems. And if that robot messes up booking an appointment or kind of says the wrong thing or doesn't let the customer talk or doesn't answer their questions, you're in a position where I don't see why the customer would want to do business with your company after that. You're burning bridges by, sacrificing almost the highest quality part of your business, which is, leads and new customers. I think that as our society grows, we'll have a transition of more people to kind of this routine admin, busy work, data entry stuff to more communication, humans talking to other humans, because that's who we want to talk to. I don't know anyone out there who really has enjoyed the experience of talking to, AI receptionists, AI, supports. These systems aren't there yet, and they might work on the surface and they might work for a specific case, but if your company needs to bring in clients to make money, why would you automate the phones? Why would you automate the most important income stream for your company? So question number three, what happens if this goes wrong? You want this to be a low impact. You don't want it to be costing your company a lot of money. The highest priority automations are going to be the ones that are kind of the in-between tasks, like logging, putting in data, responding to emails, these sort of things that it doesn't require a person's skill and creative touch to make work. It just needs a machine to kind of handle it. I think that one's pretty and when you think about it like that, it might be a little easier to understand that third question. But anyhow, let's move on to the fourth. Can I measure so question number four, can I measure the before and after? So for question number 4, there's kind of 2 verticals I look at. There's the time saved vertical, which is really important, and it's definitely a measurable thing. So if your team or your people, you can do the math, are spending 2-3 hours on it a day, maybe a week, you can kind of, the time saves is really self-explanatory. You just kind of take what their time is worth per hour and you multiply it by however hours that task takes per week, per month, or however you're using your math for the salary. Jesus. So the other vertical is kind of increasing leads, increasing income for your company. Those might be a little trickier to put a number down to it. Let's say, for instance, you used our 1-minute lead response system, which guarantees that you will, reach out to the prospect under 1 minute from the time that they show interest. So showing interest is filling out a form, sending an email, making a call. Making a call is pretty easy because you can just answer it and you're right there. But if you are able to reach the potential client in under a minute, you're going to have a way higher chance of continuing to do business with that person. It's fresh on their mind. They've just felt the pain point. So when I'm going in to measure the before and after, I always got to ask myself, is this A, saving X amount of hours, and how much is X amount of hours worth? Or is it B, bringing in X amount of dollars because of the systems in place? So if we implement an automation that doubles the amount of work that you can do, let's say you don't have a lead problem at all, you just have a capacity problem. You're able to handle 20 clients. Let's just say you're able to handle 20 clients a month, right? If through automations and efficiency of your workflow, you're able to get that to 40 clients a month, then you've effectively doubled your income stream. And that's a very easy thing to then take and say, okay, yeah, if we can handle double the amount of clients, then we're making double the amount of money without adding, more people on payroll. So that's question number 4. And for question number 4, if you can measure it, it passes. Your 4th question, number 4, can I measure it with a before and after? It passes it, obviously. If you can measure it with an X time saved or an X amount of dollars brought in. And it fails if you can't define what, better looks like. Am I fixing a broken process or automating a working one? This is a great one because it's so true. So story time, and I think this one will ring through for a lot of people. When I first started Workflow Autopilot, I was doing cold calling. I would call businesses up and say, hey, I noticed you're using this, this, and this technology. I can help you with that. We can automate all these processes and I can take care of it. Basically the whole flow for them. I did not have a cold call script. So when I got on the phone, I was like, hey company, I noticed it was a mess. It was terrible. And you'll know this too if your company does, cold calling or anything like that, even warm calling. Having a script is really important. If you try to freeball it, you're just going to fail, and especially if you try to hand it off to a junior or a new guy, they're going to have a really hard time if they don't have a script. It's the same thing with automations. If the process doesn't even exist, then how are we going to even automate it? So we and let me be more specific with this part, because it's not just we do follow up, or we do kind of, let me repeat that. So let's look at follow up, right? Let's say a company does follow up and I'll talk to them and they'll say, oh yeah, we do follow up. And I'll ask them, okay, what's your system? What's your strategy? And they say, well, we do, whenever a customer calls, we'll write it down on a sticky note or something. And then, throughout the week or the month, we'll call that customer back and see if they, if they want to do business with us. And, it works. It works to an extent, but the flows that are going to be the best are the ones that are repetitive and boring. For instance, lead comes in, tracked on the CRM. You have a follow-up cadence, so you know exactly what time and what day you're going to call back that client, and you're going to do that 10, 20 times until they say, no, leave me alone, or until you get their business. If you don't have a system, then what are you going to automate? So if we remember that Bill Gates quote, automation applied to an inefficient operation will just magnify the inefficiency. So what we really would want to do is take the system, write it down step by step, which we already did in a previous one of these previous questions, but you do this for a process that doesn't exist. So write down exactly what you would want the cadence of the follow-ups to be step by step. And then once you actually have a system, then it's a criteria to automate. If there's no system, what are you going to automate? Nothing. You're going to automate yourself into the ground. So the 5 questions, just a little recap at the end. Do I do this more than once a week? Does it follow the same steps every time? If it breaks and nobody notices, is the damage small or is it big? And can I measure what the cost is to me right now in dollars? And finally, question number 5 is, am I speeding up a working process or am I speeding up a broken process? And that's readiness. And that will be for our 5 questions. And I know I kind of, phrase this as should I automate or should I not, but it's not exactly that simple every time. There's kind of 3 buckets that you want to think about. There's a fully automated bucket where you're taking processes and they're done basically the same every time. You have an AI assisted, which I'm calling workflow AI. And this AI kind of fills in the gaps for when the steps aren't the same each time and you need an AI to kind of fill in the gaps, basically. Make sure that no part of the process is breaking, or if there's unexpected inputs or kind of messy data, you want the AI to take care of that and kind of straighten it out and get it back on track. And that would be the second bucket. And of course, the third bucket will be, human only. These are high stakes. You wouldn't want an AI to be handling your customer success or your client relations because people would start getting pretty ticked, at least in my business, if I started handing them off to an AI right away. So it's not just yes or no, there's levels to this, and I think of it in kind of 3 buckets. So those are the 5 questions I have, if you can read my handwriting there. And yeah, that's what I would automate if I was coming at it from a fresh perspective and trying to do it myself. This is a new format for me, so if any part of this was unclear, feel free to ask questions in the comments below or message me directly. And here's my notebook. Shit. This is gonna suck. All right, this is my first video. It's gonna be God, this one's gonna be a rough one. What is studio mode?